Well, hello everyone. Welcome back and welcome to my kitchen. So, in today's video, we are going to be prepping the fruit to go into the freezer. And the way I'm going to do this is grab my cutting board, my knife that I'm going to be using, some freezer bags, and a permanent marker. So to get started, I do want to say you may hear stuff in the background. It is just my kids. They live here. I can't ask them to just stay quiet while I do this. So if you hear them, they are fine. They are safe. They are just playing and having fun. So I'm going to start by going through and just taking a look at all of our fruit. If I think that it is starting to go and we will not eat it before it completely goes, instead of tossing it, I'm going to prep it and put it into my freezer. Now, why do I put it in my freezer? One, it will last longer. Two, I use them a lot for baking, and we also use them for smoothies. So, all right, we have 3, 6, 7 apples, and I have been eating one apple at least every day. So I think our apples are pretty okay. I'm not really seeing any, maybe one, this one. Let's see. What I'm looking for is like softness or bruising, because that is stuff I don't want to eat. So, okay, 3. Let me check this. I would still eat that. Okay, so I have 4 apples that I'm actually gonna keep aside so I can eat them over the next couple days. Then we have this mango. I don't think this is ready to get cut into yet, so I'm gonna leave this mango to the side. If my husband decides he won't use it before it gets too bad, I will later, at a later date, cut it up and get it frozen for us. He likes to put these in his smoothies along with just eating them in general. We have some tomatoes that look a little iffy, and my husband normally uses these for like burgers and stuff, so I'm gonna leave these aside. He might even make salsa with it, so I'm gonna leave these aside for him because that's kind of his thing. If I knew what he wanted to do with it, then I would cut it up for him, but since I don't, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to let him know that they're starting to go, and he can handle that as he sees fit. Same with the bananas. Now, the bananas I like to use a lot for banana bread, banana muffins, banana pancakes. My husband likes to use them in his smoothies. So he actually likes them about here. So I'm not going to do anything with them either. I'm going to set those ones aside as well because he has one smoothie a day, and if he decides he wants those frozen because they're going to get too bad before he uses them all, the only thing I will do is peel them off, peel it open, and then stick it in a freezer bag and call it a day. I do not freeze it with the peel on because I've tried that once, and it honestly was really hard for me to unpeel later. And then you don't want to do it when it's thawed because it gets all gross and mushy and it's just not pretty. So if you're going to freeze bananas, do that. Make sure you peel it first and then stick it in a Ziploc bag. The oranges. Now these are something my kids asked for. We just got them. As you can see, they're not even open yet. So let's see what they're looking like. Now with oranges, I don't normally freeze the oranges. What I do with oranges is I just slice it in half, and then I have a handheld juice thing, and I slice it in half, squeeze the juice out of it, and then my kids have orange juice they end up drinking that same day. The oranges are not looking too bad, so I will set these ones aside and let them see that they are actually here, ready to be eaten, and then that way they don't go. If these don't get used up, slice it in half. Actually, I'm just gonna do it. My handy dandy juicer. Stick it on like this. Squeeze out the juice, like so. If you don't want the pulp, then you get a small strainer and you strain it out. If you do want the pulp, you don't do the strainer. Either way is perfectly fine. Again, no judgment here. My kids, we prefer zero pulp, but now I've got that much juice from one orange. There's my pulp. I pour this into a cup, and then my kids would drink the apple juice, or not apple juice, the orange juice. But you could also freeze this, and then the next time you want to add, if you're making a smoothie and want to add oranges or like an orange juice, you can put them in ice cube trays, freeze it up, and you have some orange juice to use. You could also do this with lemons. I do lemons. I freeze lemon juice. Cut up a fresh lemon, put this through here, get all the juice out, strain it so there's no seeds or anything, and we freeze it in ice cube trays. And then when we need some lemon or we want to make lemonade, we go ahead and we do it that way. Now are the reasons I am doing this whole video. So we had said we wanted some strawberries and blueberries, and we've had them for a few weeks, and the blueberries are actually still looking pretty okay. However, if I do not wash them right away, my family kind of forgets about them, and they know when I wash them because I do not keep them in the container that they came in. I will have them in a different bowl or type of container sitting in the fridge. And so as you can see, we have some strawberries that are not looking too well. And I've got a little bit of blueberries. It looks like they took some out and washed them by hand, which is not normally the case. So just to be certain, because I have not seen anybody grab at these, including myself. I am going to just prep them for my freezer. This is what it will look like. As you can see, I've already had to do this once with the apples. And so I'm going to show you how I got this to this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to get my permanent marker. You could also do a pen if you have that and that works better for you. But I'm just going to get, and whatever size Ziploc bag you want, this is a quart size. And I'm just going to write apples. And then you could also put the date if you would want. I personally don't put the date because I would just add 2 these. So then, like, if I were to get more apples, for example, like a couple weeks later, I would just, you know, pour it into that. Now, I would add it to the apples I already have. However, that bag is pretty full, so I can't, which is why I have a new bag. Otherwise, if there was room, I would shove these apples into that bag. All right, I've got blueberry, and I need 1 for strawberry. And maybe later on, I may upgrade my bag a little, but today we're gonna go with this. So the next thing I'm going to do is get these washed. And I already got my strainer ready to go. So I'm just gonna get in and give it a little rinse here. I think I am going to also just wash all the fruit right now. Blueberries will be easy for me to freeze and store real quick to kind of show. I'm not washing them in too hot of water. I'm just giving them a light rinse. Here I'm going to take my Ziploc that's labeled blueberry, and any of them that are kind of like soft and squishy, I don't want. So I'm going to peel through. If there's any stems on them, I will remove the stems. But some that are like real soft and mushy, I don't want, because that tells me they're getting past their prime and it's not going to be good for what I want to use them with later. So, just going to quickly pick through and grab what I want. If you can tell, like that, there's no way. There's no way that would work for what I would want it for. So, if you've been here a while, you will know that my setup looks slightly different. And that is because we have recently moved, which I thought I had enough videos pre-recorded so it wouldn't really, you know, be a thing, but I did not. Therefore, there are a few weeks that I have missed video-wise, And that is just because I have been focusing on the move and getting everything set up the way we want it and need it to be. So I finally feel like I'm at a place where I can maybe do a couple videos here and there. I don't feel 100% settled yet. There's still things I want to do. However, I feel like I'm at least to a point where I can start videoing again and hopefully keep that going. But if there is a time where I miss a week, it is because I just ran out of time in the week where I was just busy doing house stuff and did not get a chance to video or edit. All right. Okay, that is it. I'm going to seal up my blueberries. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to pop it right into my freezer. And then when I'm ready to make blueberry pancakes, blueberry muffins, blueberry bread, blueberry whatever, I will have some on hand. And or if my husband wants to put some in his smoothies, he will have frozen blueberries to do that with. So those are done. Strawberries now. I'm going to put in my thing, put you in there. And get you guys rinsing. Again, not too hot of water. I did try the whole salt thing, let it sit. I did notice it took out some seeds that were stuck in there. If you let it sit long enough, it does, get the seeds. However, I feel like it just made my fruit go way too fast. So what I do instead is just give it a good scrub. And that seems to do the trick. And by scrub, I do mean just really get my thumb and rub it all around the strawberries, making sure no loose seeds or anything like that comes up. And then if they're bad, like that, I just set them off to the side because we are not going to be using those. So I am looking for that. If there are some that are, which I actually have quite a bit, but if there are some that are just kind of bruised and look a little dark, I just cut that away. Because who really wants to eat that, right? Okay. Now, there are ways you can do the strawberries as far as storing them in your freezer. You could just drop it in your freezer bag and let it be. You could cut the tops off and just let it be. Or you can do what I'm gonna do. And I'm actually going to take the time to cut them into small pieces. And the reason I am going to be doing that is for a couple reasons. One, the recipes I normally will use them for want them chopped up. And so it's just easier to already have them chopped before. And then another reason I am doing it this way is because it is easier for me to see where the bad spots are that need to go, and it's easier for me to just cut those out. And then I will just, honestly, I might need another storage bag for these strawberries, but I just cut them up and I stick them in. And I don't make sure they're all even perfect sides. I just cut them up smaller so that way when a recipe says like 1 cup of strawberries chopped or whatever, I have it already made and ready. Another question I might get is, do I use my produce that I freeze in recipes when they are frozen, or do I let them thaw? And to that I say I do it frozen. And probably the main reason I do it frozen is because I don't really have the patience to let them thaw. But also, I've not had a issue when it comes to having frozen strawberries in a recipe. I do know it'll make the batter and stuff feel colder when it goes in and mixes, or like the bananas. When I do banana bread and stuff, it makes it colder, like the batter. And the mixing bowl is really, really cold. But at the end result, I've never had an issue with texture or taste or any of that. So I just do it all frozen. But when you are cutting up your strawberries, you do want to make sure you do not get any of the bruising or like mold or anything, because that'll really throw off your stuff. But these work great in smoothies. So there's that. It also works really well. I made strawberry bread before we moved for the first time ever, and that ended up being really good. The strawberry flavor was very, very subtle and not overbearing at all like I thought it would be, because I had to use quite a bit. I don't know exactly how many cups of strawberries I used, but it was definitely a lot. And I was actually surprised that it wasn't as overbearing as I thought it would be. I thought that flavor would be super strong, and it was not. So I was very happy about that. All right, now all I'm gonna do is take my strawberries, get all the air out, set it aside, ready to go in the freezer. And finally, my apples. Now, as you saw, I already have apples in there, and that is making me think I need to maybe upgrade my apple bag to a gallon. But I'm not going to do that today. I probably won't do that for a while because Sorry, I got distracted. I probably won't do that for a while because I do plan to make things later on, so I will be using those apples. But with the apples, if you can tell, like right there, there's a little bruising, a little brown. I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do is just cut that out. Now I have done the thing where I just rinse the apples and then just plopped it into the freezer whole. I personally do not recommend that. We decided one year we went apple picking and thought we would try that and see what happened, how they would turn out, because we knew we weren't going to eat them all in that time. And they honestly were not that great. Like, they were edible, we thought, but I ended up just making things with it. I tried my hand at apple cider with it. And so, yeah, we definitely didn't want to eat them. We tried a couple times, see if we could just, like, get used to it. I feel like it just kind of, like, I don't know, it just didn't taste that great. So we never did that again. Instead, when we would go apple picking or we get an abundance of apples that we just don't go through well or fast enough, we just would do what I'm doing right now, and I'd cut them up, and sometimes I would take the time to peel the apples. When I first started doing this, I would take the time to peel the apples and then core them and all that. But now I just leave the peel on because, one, isn't the peel supposed to be like good for you or something? And two, it doesn't really affect anything. So I just skip the step of peeling them because I'm the person who would peel like a layer of my nail or something. So just go like this. And then when I'm ready to use them, I will use them for apple bread, apple muffins, apple sauce. I do a homemade apple sauce. I make them with, I use hot apples. So there's a few different ways. Apple pie, apple crisp. So I do a lot of baking and stuff with apples. It's one of my favorite ones to use, and bananas are a good second. Those are the two I probably bake with the most. And so far, everything I've used the apples for, I've not really had to worry about the fact that the peel was on them, and it worked out just fine. So that's why I don't take the time to peel off the apple skin. But if you are somebody who doesn't really trust that, I totally get it. I was the same way when I first started cooking with apples. and freezing apples and all that. And so take that extra step, take that time, take that energy, and absolutely, absolutely peel it. Some people don't prefer to have the peel on when they're baking, and that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just peel it off. It will be fine. But eventually, there was just one day I was just like, I don't even care. Literally makes zero difference to me. If it's gonna be bad, oh well. And I couldn't taste it. Nobody in my family could taste it. So now I'm just like, I don't want to take that step. So I don't. And that is perfectly fine as well. You do you. No judgment here. All right. Apples, all done. Get the air out, seal it all up, and it just plops in like that. Now, if you really wanted to, you could really flatten it out some so it lays flat in your freezer. That is cool too. But I generally have them all down like this, so that way the next time I go shopping and I purchase apples, if we for some reason do not get through all the apples, then I can just add them into this bag, and then when I'm ready to bake with them, I can do so. Same with the strawberries, although the strawberries, they're pretty full as is, so I would either have to upgrade to a bigger Ziploc bag or go ahead and use these up first. Same with my blueberries, all the same. But these are set, ready. Now all I'm gonna do is stick them in my freezer, and we will have them for smoothies, baking, or whatever else we want to use them for. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Comment down below if this is something you do or you would try, and I will see you on the next one.